What is a dark secret that you feel more comfortable letting out on here, but otherwise take to the grave? I told my wife I dropped the Nutella and the jar had smashed, but the truth is I'd eaten almost the whole jar over a weekend, just with a spoon, none of this bread nonsense. It's not a dark secret, but I'm very forgetful and oftentimes forget something of mine whenever I visit my dad. He once joked that he didn't mind me leaving stuff because it was always his reminder that I'd eventually come back to visit. So now every time I go over, whether intentional or not, I leave something at my dad's so he always knows I'll be back to visit, and I'll never tell him. Sometimes I do it on purpose. After my mother passed away, as I was going through her documents, I found the receipt for her attempt to abort me, and the refund she was given when it failed. I was the product of rape, and I knew that before, but she had always told me she had never once thought about abortion. I also found several items from my childhood/teen years, locked away in her safety deposit box, including the letter of approval for a full-ride scholarship to Penn State for their vet tech program. May have actually dodged a bullet on that one. I had always thought my fears of her sabotaging my life were just me being paranoid. But now, I'm not sure. I still love my mom, and I miss her a lot. But I'm wondering now, if she cared as much about me as she said she did. A friend of mine got a girl pregnant and he was really excited about being a dad and wanted to raise the child. She decided to get an abortion. He was absolutely brokenhearted, but he really looked forward to meeting his daughter/son in heaven. Except I know, because of the clinic she went to for the pregnancy test, that the girl was lying and was never pregnant to begin with. She told him she was pregnant and told him she had an abortion simply to hurt him. I can never tell him because it would be breaking medical privacy. And I don't think I could if I were legally allowed to, because he has so much love for this child that never even existed. My parents didn't really potty train me. I had to learn myself and it led to a lot of issues. Being a child in school was so excruciatingly embarrassing and I suffer occasional incontinence as an adult to this day from damage to my parts. I really hate myself. I'm loud and sometimes too hyper and I know I annoy everyone. When people bring it up even if they're joking I feel a huge lump in my stomach and want to cry. But I've created a fake persona of the crazy girl I just laugh it off. If wish people could see how much it hurts every day. I feel like I'm pretending to be an adult every day. I do not, whatsoever, feel like an adult. I work 40 to 50 hours a week for a multinational manufacturer in a very fast-paced environment. People come to me for answers all day. I own a vehicle and have my own place, and people say things like you always have your SHD together or that I'm so responsible. I have bills and responsibilities like every other functioning adult out there, but it feels like I'm just pretending. The absolute truth? I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing 90% of the time. I Google everything. I am incredibly awkward when I talk to people. Even the way I walk is different, I think. I feel like I'm just this kid running around playing dress up in the middle of a bunch of real adults, like we are the same age group but they are adulting for real and I'm not. It's hard to explain. I just wonder if I'll ever feel like a grown adult who carries themselves like one. I feel bad that my first thought when my mom passed was that it was such a relief. She's been gone for 13 years and I'm just now able to remember good times that she and I had together. She was a single mom, very critical, judgmental and smothering. The verbal and emotional abuse continued well into adulthood. It took me a long time to let go of my anger and resentment towards her. I hate myself so much to the point I want someone to relentlessly beat me up. So I sometimes bang my head on things until I feel like I had enough. My husband and I caught his mother cheating with a much younger man. For many reasons, we can't tell anyone. She'll also never own up to it. It sucks holding this secret between the three of us and family holidays are awkward as hell now. I was the kid who had accidentally spit gum into my friend's hair while running track. The gum just flew straight into her hair. I didn't really think much of it. But then I found her crying with a big bald spot on the back of her head, cause the teacher had to cut the gum out. And man, did it look bad. Because of the very unfortunate placing, even a ponytail couldn't cover it. It was just very out in the open. I was comforting her when the teacher spoke to the class asking them to confess who did it. I'm sorry, but who would at that moment? And now a few years later, it's too late. And when the story comes up, she's still very pissed. Should I have confessed at that very moment in the first place? What I actually think of PPL. I mean everyone. Even my closest personal friends don't know what I actually think about them. I'm an asshole and I have at least 1 to 3 bad things about everyone I come across. I was a battered woman that shot my husband in self-defense. He had started strangling me. When he tried that to my daughter, 13 years old, is when I purchased a gun at a garage sale down the street and started packing. Just made a decision we were not getting strangled anymore. They put me on probation, 5 years. I did 4 and then violated it, got 10 years in prison. It was 100% worth it as I never had any rage or anger at what we experienced in that 15 years. I feel like it was equal in the end of suffering. It was harder on my kids than me. After all that, my son was 10, my son died of cancer at age 42 in 2021. My daughter still suffers major psychological problems. I've been happy ever since, even in prison. I used to be hard into getting women to cheat on their boyfriends and husbands. It was honestly stupid easy to do it. So I did it a ton of times. Now I have serious trust issues and can't really commit. I wish my mom had died before my dad. She treated him so badly, but he lost his life and I'm sure she will live to be 90. I love my mom but wish my dad had experienced freedom without her even just for a little while. I told this story very vaguely in a different thread a few days ago, so I'll bite. I stabbed myself and convinced my husband he was the one who stabbed me so I could get him to stop drinking. He fully believes he stabbed me and is now currently a month sober. I've never loved anyone in my life. I cannot explain or define what love feels like because my life has always been about me. In my earliest friendships as a child, I closely watched and manipulated my behavior to be as likable as possible by my friends. All my crushes growing up, I had very little interest in the person themselves. I just was in love with the idea of being in a relationship with that person. As a teenager I struggled with the concept of love in general, and told myself, I must love my parents. Everyone does. I love them, because it hurts me when they're disappointed and when my mom yells at me. Then I met my wife. She told me she liked me. And I thought, who cares who she is? She likes me, and I'd like to experience being in a relationship with someone who liked me first. And it's been downhill from there. I've been lying every time I've told her I love her. She's happy with our life and hasn't caught on. Deep down I wish I'd stayed single, but I've learned to live with the reality of my situation, knowing that one day it will be useful to have children as I get older. But if she leaves me, or dies, I'm never marrying ever again, and I'm giving my children to my sister to raise since her family is far better an environment than mine. I have so much guilt for not reaching out to an abusive ex's new girlfriend before she committed suicide. Maybe she had other demons, but I know I was in her shoes and the abuse drove me to a dark place. He was also so good at hiding it. Even now I'm not sure anyone but me knows some of the reasons she died. I'm happily married, but I also have very deep feelings for a close friend. I know that my wife deserves every bit of my mind and heart, and if I don't give it to her, it's not fair to her. So I do my best to put it out of my mind and give my wife all my attention, but it comes back from time to time and it's hard for me to keep it in. But I will never tell anyone because A, I genuinely love my wife and would never end our relationship for anyone, and B, the close friendship is only that means more to me than risking all of it by telling her there are any feelings beyond that. I'm an ex-Muslim. In my place being an apostate would result you in being shunned at minimum and mobbed to death at most. Stay away from it if you're thinking of joining this cult. I honestly don't like myself. I felt like I hyper-obsess over things that I like and constantly talk about them with people who I know don't care. It has always made me look weird, so I usually just try not to talk to people. I really wish I was different. I am planning on starting therapy soon due to some mental states I have been in recently. I will update you on what happens. Thank you all for caring. I was surprised with a divorce after 20 years together and 16 years as a stay-home mom. It's been 2 years and I have run out of money from the sale of our house. That is what I was living on. On the days I can get out of bed it takes all my energy to look at job postings and send in my resume. I am down to my last $500 and I'm not sure what I will do if I don't figure something out. I have even considered the very worst thing. But I won't because I can't leave my daughter. I have been holding that for so long. My depression is coming back, and my family doesn't know. I don't think it ever left. My anxiety from the military is gone, and the relief from that disguised everything else I think. I have a lot to live for. Every now and then it seems like it's not enough. I'm not actually okay. I've had 4 relatives die in the last year. I've had bad acid reflux and diarrhea for the last 3 years. And I've been pissing blood intermittently this last year. I don't have the money to get it checked out, and even if I did, I just don't care about myself enough to get checked out either. In my heart of hearts, I believe that I am too much for the people around me. I believe my office co-workers would rather I be gone, despite knowing the work I do is above average and admirable. I believe that those who have broken up with me did so because what I needed emotionally was too taxing. I believe my sister, who was somewhat estranged until recently, wishes she were an only child and that my desire to be close to her is overwhelming. Deep down I believe I'm unwanted and forgettable. And despite the fact that I love who I am and love my own company and don't want to change, and that I would be friends with someone just like me, I can't get over this impending anxiety that who I am is too much, and that if given the choice, many in my life would wish me away. It's very uncomfortable, and no amount of logic and positive self-talk and therapy seems to resolve this quiet, little feeling that I am just too much. I keep my loved ones' voicemails on my phone. There could be a day where I lose a relative or friend and I don't want to forget their voice. Some say the voice is the first thing we forget about lost loved ones. And I don't want that to happen. I don't want to forget anyone. My partner is going on a trip out of province next week. He has no idea he's leaving me at the most mentally unwell, and overall the most sad, isolated and lonely I've ever been in my life. He deserves this trip. I haven't been easy. But I think I might kill myself while he's away. I'm mentally checked out. I have constant thoughts of suicide. I don't think I could actually do it, but it's weird to be doing something like cooking dinner and listening to music. Something that should be a happy little relaxing moment in life, but then the thought of I should kill myself comes. In high school I seen one of the more popular girls in my grade pick her nose and eat it. We weren't friends, but she was very nice, so I just kept it to myself. Other than being a mother, which I'm great at, I have no sense of purpose. When my kids are gone I'm afraid I'll just rot. I want to travel, but I doubt I'll actually do it. I'm scared I'll end up homeless too for some reason. Like once they grow up I'm afraid I'll just give up. Debating suicide. Nothing's horribly wrong in life, just lost my prime reason to live when she flushed 5 years down the drain. Currently alive, BC 2 of my brothers and my parents would be devastated. That in gaming is a fun hobby, lol. Victim of SA by my grandfather at 13. He fell off the wagon really hard, and my step-grandmother was never home because she had a co-op closer to where she worked. Whenever he was almost blacked out drunk, he'd want me to share his bed with him and would throw violent tantrums when I said no. He wasn't physically violent towards me, but with history of physical abuse, I always worried that I'd end up with a black eye or worse and have to explain it to the school, so I just complied. I'd wake up in the middle of the night to either him trying to touch me or trying to get me to touch him. Somehow, he would stop when I said no, and then I'd just slip out back to my room. I kind of wish I had the courage to just punch him in the dick, but again, I was worried about him turning towards me with physical violence. This happened for a few weeks. It only stopped because one day a friend of his came sniffing for money for his own drinking/drugging habit, and when my grandfather refused, the dude started choking him out. Grandfather beat the SHT out of him and called the cops. I was at school when that happened and learned of it when I got home to find a cop sitting there waiting for me. Grandfather was quick to jump back on the wagon after that one, and it never happened again. I never told anyone, because I was always considered the scapegoat/liar in the house, so I figured if I breathed a word no one would believe me. Besides, I think he either forgot because he was so hammered, ashamed, or wanted to play ignorance because I never got an apology. I was also SA'd by my mother's friend and a friend's brother at 6 and 8, respectively, so this wasn't my first rodeo. None of the experiences ever left my mind, but I have refused to let them define me. And I don't speak a word of it because it happened so long ago. People would just think I was looking for attention now. My fiancé knows though, because one night just after we started dating, he decided to get feisty in the middle of the night and it triggered some deeply buried PTSD. Do you know those little figures that shops sell that come with a little card with a poem or something? Just very gimmicky. I stole one as a kid. I stole a metal turtle one. And I don't know where it went. Also, I stole a Polly Pocket pet seal that came in a set from a girl in elementary school. I also do not know where that went. But it was small and sparkly and I just stole it. And I think the set came with 3 so they never noticed. Also I stole a bow at Build-A-Bear. It was small and I stole it. I was in elementary school and I didn't know better. Those are the only times I've stolen. I think I threw it out since I was so scared my parents would find out. Also once as a kid I was at a store where you could fill bags with candy. I said there were 10 pieces. There were actually 11 or 12. I would probably be happier if I was fully gender transition, but I'm way too scared of the process. I'll never tell anyone how uncomfortable I am because I don't want to be seen as weak for not transitioning. When I tell my friends I'm going to doctor appointments, I'm actually going to therapy. I go 3 times a week and had to be pulled into homeschool because of it. Most people my age wouldn't really understand it if I told them the truth. That's my secret. I used to be a stripper in my 20s and I hustled men out of money, using every manipulation I could think of. I even made one think I was in love with him and he bought me 2 cars. I had a professional writer look at my work and he said I was above average for authors that are getting paid. Every piece of short fiction I tried to sell found a home. Everyone who reads my work says it's amazing, and yet, I'm too afraid to keep it in GoPro, even though I have better odds than most. I've been raped when I was 13 by a middle-aged man. I'm 24 now. I was walking from school and didn't realize there was a guy stalking me from school. I was crying for help but he suddenly threatened me with a knife, so I just let him do what he wanted because I was so scared that time. After that he let me go and I never told anyone about that until this day. I'd give it because I was shocked, scared or anything. I just never told anyone about any of my secrets, even to my best friend. My current boyfriend is polyamorous. I was new to the idea but this guy is amazing. We clicked immediately and we both kind of shocked by the amount of things we agreed on. Money habits, movies, religion, morals, everything. Even our personalities complement each other, with one being more outgoing and the other a little more shy. Even our kinks. I mean everything is perfect, except the other girlfriend. She has a primary partner who is not my BF. She's a passive-aggressive SHT stirrer who uses my uncertainty about Polly to confuse and try to manipulate me. I am his primary partner, we're getting an apartment together, and since he explained that to her she has been difficult. She thinks she's adorable and has to be the center of attention. She's lied to him, manipulated both of us at times, and she plays innocent. And even jokes that it's okay because she's cute. I am chunky and she's perfect and she rubs it in. I'm just tired of her playing on my insecurities and pushing every boundary I have. He doesn't see most of this because she's smart, but she's a shitty girlfriend who never does anything but expects him, and I, to do everything for her. I'm over it. But while I want her to go away, I'm not willing to leave the best relationship I've ever had. He treats me like a queen. Truly. Worshipped and respected. I just wish I was the only one. Because I love him and would do anything for him. She just likes the attention. I hate her in this entire situation so much. I know I'm going to end up leaving the best man I ever knew because he doesn't trust women in general enough to let me love him. I'm one of the good ones. But it'll never be enough. I always thought having kids would save my life. I guess it did in a way, but now I just feel trapped here, living a life more dreadful than before. I don't know how to be an adult or even a person. I don't have hobbies or interests and I have no sense of self. I probably will still kill myself, I just don't know when. I guess I'll do it as soon as the people around me grow up, move on or forget about me. In 3rd grade I pissed on a girl's boot. Her and her dad had locked me in her room, and I told them I needed to piss. They ignored me, so I pissed in her boot. My son's father died 3 months ago and I'm actually relieved. Life is so much easier. I'm only cleaning up after 2 people, myself and my son. My son gets to school on time every day and most importantly we're not walking on eggshells. Some days he would be awesome but most days he was verbally abusive to the point our son was starting to tell me he felt worthless. He would also belittle me and say the meanest SHT for no reason. There was a bunch of SHT that went down between us. He always painted me as the abuser/instigator, classic case of Darvo, and would routinely gaslight me. I don't think I'll ever really tell anyone the SHT that happened between us, particularly my son. He doesn't need to know. That I love cross-dressing, getting pegged, and especially wearing thongs. I've paid for dominatrices. I've told some acquaintances, but not family. except my sister, or any close friends. I stole all of my grandfather's Vicodin and replaced them with Tylenol. He was in so much pain at the time, but I didn't care, just wanted to get high. He's not even a good person, but I feel awful whenever I think about it. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.